Kipkelion is a place in Kenya, in Africa, but it's not perhaps what people think of when they think of Africa, because it's very high altitude, it's a very mountainous region, and so that means it's also rather cold and rather wet, even though it's on the equator. So that's a bit, you can see there what it looks like. And we do all sorts of things there. We're a grassroots charity helping the local community. We do clean water projects, we do education projects, and we do things like basic healthcare. So we're not just about smokeless stoves, but it's the smokeless stoves which we're going to talk about tonight. They're very important because smokeless stoves save lives. Now take a look at this picture. This house is a house in Kipkelion. By the way, Kipkelion's an area, it's about 1,000 square miles of highland Kenya with about 230,000 people living in it. So it's quite a big area. This house, typical house in Kipkelion, that house is not actually on fire, contrary to appearances. What's happening inside that house is somebody is cooking their supper, right? But the way they're cooking their supper is the traditional way. They have sort of built a bonfire in the middle of the kitchen floor. There isn't a stove as such, there certainly isn't a chimney, and so the result of that is that the kitchen, or the room where they're cooking, fills with smoke. And it's a smoke-filled room all day, because there's generally a pan on, you know, some water boiling or something like that. So the person who's working in that kitchen, usually a woman, sometimes children as well, is living in a smoke-filled environment all day long. And not many people seem to know this, but wood smoke inhalation is one of the biggest killers in the developing world. According to the World Health Organization, it kills more people than malaria, perhaps twice as many people as malaria. Because if you're breathing in that smoke all day, it's like smoking 100 cigarettes or worse. You end up getting pneumonia, you get chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, you get cancer, and sometimes as well, if you're a child and you're in there breathing in that smoke because you have to be with your mother, you might also go blind because the smoke gets in your eyes. Now, there is a very simple solution to this. It's the famous smokeless stove. Now, take a look at that. And hands up anyone who's got an Arga at home. Yeah, right. It looks a bit like an Arga, really, doesn't it? But I can assure you, this is cheaper than your Arga, right? This costs about £40 to make and install. And it solves all the problems. Because basically, the fire is inside the stove, and the smoke goes up the chimney. And it's made of local materials, it's made of bricks which are made locally, local clay, and a tinsmith can knock up the chimney in no time. However, there is a catch. It has to be done right, otherwise the fire won't light and the smoke doesn't go up the chimney properly. So what we are asking tonight is for money to train people on a course run by our wonderful local partners in Kipkelion. This is a course where people will learn how to make the stoves. And they can learn how to make the stoves inside a week. It's a residential course. They're instructed on how to build, put the bricks together, how to put the chimney in place and all the rest of it. And then of course, once they've done that, those people will have a livelihood as well, because the installers will have a skill. They can go around the area installing stoves and getting paid for it. Now, the end result should be a happy family. And regardless of how many children you may have gathered around your stove, right, they will all be able to enjoy sitting with mum and not breathing in smoke. Pretty good. This benefits the people in many, many other ways. Firstly, it saves the forest, because the stove actually uses about half the amount of firewood compared with the traditional method. So although we can't stop people from chopping down trees for fuel, we can see that they will be chopping them down at half the rate they were before. Secondly, they won't be going around fetching firewood all day. That's probably 20 kilos of firewood that lady's carrying there. It takes hours to walk to the forest, get a load of firewood and come back again. So it saves a huge amount of time. That time can be spent more productively. It can be spent on going to college, going to school, or growing cash crops and actually having something more beneficial in your life. So that's very good too. And the great thing is, because of all the saving in firewood costs, the stoves are self-financing, because people can save money by not spending so much on wood. Therefore, they can get a small loan, a microfinance loan, and they can borrow, say, £40 and then pay it back using the savings they've got from their lower firewood costs. Now, we want to give out some example stoves. We want people to see how good the stoves are, so we're going to give out some free demonstration models across the community to volunteers we have around the community. We believe that when people see the stove in action, they're all going to say, I'll have what she's having, basically. And so here are some people clamouring for a stove. This is, in summary, our offering. We're going to train the installers. We're going to give the installers a demonstration model. We're going to give the community volunteers demonstration models. And if you add all that up, it comes to something like £6,000, but the more stoves, the merrier. And finally, remember the children of Kipkelion. Every year, about 500 children in the Kipkelion area die of preventable diseases. Now, we don't know for sure, but we reckon about 100 of those children, about a fifth of them, probably die from inhaling the wood smoke. So you have an opportunity tonight to save some of those children. Thank you very much.